Welcome to study session 6 in our study of Mark My Words, an analysis of the Gospel of Mark. My name is David Chotka. You already know that. Now, most of us know that there are really good movies and some pretty bad ones. There's also really good novels and some bad ones. And all of us know people who can tell a great joke. And we know people who only think they can tell a great joke. In fact, dads are guilty of that all the time. Now, just about everyone knows that the best novels, movies, jokes, stories, even those told around a fireplace, those are the ones that have a gradually unfolding narrative and usually a surprise hidden away at the conclusion, and it all makes you laugh or it makes you moved or whatever. And Mark's Gospel is about surprise. We're told at the very start that this gospel is the story of Jesus, who is the Messiah, who also happens to be the Son of God. When we watch with astonished joy and surprise, this Son does amazing and astonishing things. It begins with John the Baptist proclaiming that Christ is going to be powerful, and he's going to go around bestowing the Spirit on all kinds of people. And Jesus actually begins by being submitted. Not just powerful, but submitted. He submitted to being baptized by John. In fact, Matthew's gospel tells us that John didn't want to do it. He was immersed in water by John the Baptist, even though there were some protests. And to be the Spirit baptizer, the role that John had said he was going to do, he had to be submitted to heaven's presence, power, and the infilling of the Spirit himself. He was required to be filled by the Spirit. And then, whether he liked it or not, that Spirit picked him up and threw him into satanic confrontation for 40 days and 40 nights. Submission. This book is about how the crowd in the story gradually understood who this Jesus really was. Well, the unfolding narrative began with flabbergasted astonishment as demons were cast out, and a crowd watched as a leper's fetid skin grew back, even as Jesus himself broke the rules about touching a leper. Then, the religious leaders of the day began to understand that this man, Jesus of Nazareth, was claiming something far more than being an exorcist and a healer. Exorcist? Oh, wow. Healer? That's incredible. But here's the development that happens at the beginning of the second chapter of Mark. He was attaching his signs and his wonders to the claim that he really was the Son of God. Now, we, the readers, knew that that was announced in verse 1, yet no one really understood just what that meant. Everyone, including the disciples, only gradually understood. In fact, John the Baptist only gradually understood. And then they misunderstood time after time. Now, the Sabbath was God's command. Most words for any commandment is that Sabbath command. Everyone understood that to be true. But to get back to the heart of what it meant to honor the Sabbath, Jesus redefined how the Sabbath was to be understood, and then he called himself the Lord of the Sabbath. This meant that Jesus was saying, I personally am overseeing even the divine command. The day of rest is under my direction, my interpretation, my oversight. That meant he really was making the claim, I am the Son of God. Then he backed that, not merely with an argument about whether gleaning wheat was work, but with a miraculous sign. He healed a withered hand on the Sabbath day, even as he redefined work on the Sabbath day to include divine healing. The leaders of the day knew that his power was undermining theirs. They got it even if nobody else did. They made a decision. They decided that it was time to kill Jesus. To kill him. Somehow, some way, someday soon. Mark's gospel makes clear that those leaders really did understand he was making the claim to being the Son of God, and they could not bring themselves to believe it. They were so utterly appalled by the way he was demonstrating his power on the Sabbath day that they determined to take him out, to kill him. This storyline seemed to have a predictable ending. The best stories always seem to point to a conclusion until a twist in the plot catches all of us by surprise. Of course, it was predictable that if the leaders wanted him dead, he would eventually get himself killed. The drama of the story is that Jesus outwitted the plots to take him out for 3 full years. It wasn't until the 3rd year of his ministry was accomplished that they actually managed to do that. And none of them understood that there would be a magnificent turning in the plot. His resurrection after a searing, horrible, ugly crucifixion. So, are you enjoying this? Enjoy sharing what you have been learning from the lessons this week. It could be that each of you will learn more from each other than you expected. I know that doing this work has taught me much. Mark my words. These are my words. What are yours?